you see. Can't be nobody else. A goddess that's me. What you see is what you get. You ain't seen nothing yet. Guarantee sure bet.
Hey, beautiful soul. Welcome back to More with V. Unleash your inner badass. I'm your host, V. Your favorite life doula, bonus mom, intuitive coach, and your personal permission slip to do life and leadership your own divine way. So previously, I shared about the ROAR method, which is a tool I use to remind myself who I am in those moments when I'm going through something. But today, I'm going to share something else that's close to my heart. It's the Straight Path Framework, the sacred strategy I use to rebuild my life and legacy after burnout. So this episode is for you if you've ever found yourself hustling so hard you forgot who you are. If you've ever achieved a goal but still felt empty on the inside. Or if you're craving a life that feels aligned and grounded and prosperous on your own terms. So this is about walking toward purpose, peace, and prosperity without hustling yourself into the ground. So why do we stray from the path? Let's be real. Most of us didn't wake up one day and say, I want to hustle myself into burnout. No, we got programmed into it. We're also impacted by our neurospiciness, which makes the journey even more interesting to navigate. So there's a few reasons why we stray off the path. We chase other people's definition of success. So whether it's family or cultural, religion, or society, it likes to tell us, do this, be this, have this, or else you won't be worthy, loved, seen, appreciated. So that is one reason. We get stuck in hustle culture. So we're told if we just work harder, push more, grind more, peace will come. But later never comes. So there was a season in my life where I thought success had to look a certain way. You know, I had to wake up before the sun came up, I had to meditate for at least an hour, always be moving, hustling, creating. And on the outside, it looked like I was thriving. But on the inside, I was exhausted. And that's when I realized if peace isn't part of the plan for success, it isn't really success. So I get to work how I work with my strengths in the areas where I'm less strong, then I get to navigate those and figure those out and stretch. So just a reflection question for you. Have you ever felt like you hit a goal and yet you still felt empty? We forget prosperity is not just about money. It's fulfillment. It's love. It's legacy. It's waking up and knowing you're aligned with your soul. I've come across a few clients that thought prosperity meant hitting a six-figure income or following a blueprint that other successful business owners used. While it may have worked for these other people, you get to find what works for you. Otherwise, you'll find yourself still stressed, disconnected, and tired. And we get to then redefine prosperity and abundance as time with our kids, being able to homeschool and still manage our business, having better opportunities with love, and more money flowing to us with more and more ease. So we actually felt wealthy and became present to how it already exists in our lives, how abundance and prosperity was there the whole time. We were just looking for it in this one particular way. Once we expand and make that shift, that prosperity isn't just about money, it's about wholeness. So reflection for you right now. Where am I sacrificing peace for someone else's version of success? Where am I sacrificing peace for someone else's version of success? Let's really pause right there, because I think so often we get tunnel vision and focus, which is great to an extent. At the same time, it doesn't allow for us to see the forest for the trees, right? We're seeing trees, but do we see that it's an amazing, expansive forest? So we get to pause and really feel into our bodies. Are we carrying goals that aren't ours? I remember when I was growing up, people always ask you, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I always wanted to be like a nurse or a teacher. And I remember I ended up going through school and I really solidified on being a teacher because I had this amazing high school English teacher. I was in about, I think, 11th grade, maybe about 11th grade, 10th or 11th grade. I had an English class with this amazing teacher, Miss McDonough, Miss Morello now, Mrs. I should say. And I was going through a really tough time in my life personally. And I was really in the duplicity of myself. Like, I was really in the bipolarness of me. And I just was so present to, I was wearing these masks. I was not allowing myself to be the full expression of me. Not anymore. Like, it had been like pretty much like dampened, diminished, dimmed. And of course, I wasn't cheerleading my own self. I was still struggling with my self identity. I was struggling with not liking myself, not thinking I was beautiful, always worrying about my weight and what I'm eating and all the things. So, yeah, I was going through a tough time. I love this memory. I was just relishing in the love of that memory and remembering this. And we were reading The Scarlet Letter, which of all books, right? It's about this woman who is given this letter, and because she was caught in adultery with this man. And it's the whole story of this and what she goes through because she also had a baby by this guy. And he was like, I don't know, some big mucky muck in the city town. And I remember reading this book and I really got it. I really got that this book was so much more than what we were just reading. And I always loved English. English was one of my most favorite subjects. I especially loved reading literature and analyzing it. At the time, I didn't really appreciate it as much as I do now. But then I did love it. I did love English. I loved writing. That's how I got into poetry, because of English classes. And so, reading this book, and I really got Hemingway. And I remember talking to her one day, and she was like, you really get this. She was like, not many people get Hemingway, like, as adults, let alone as, kids. So she was very impressed with that. And in her mirror of me, I was like, oh, I should be impressed with myself too. So I recognized she saw me in a way that most of the people in my life did not, the adults in my immediate. But I was very blessed with, even though my home life was wobbly, to say the least. I had lots of amazing friends and family, and even like older cousins that were amazing and really saw me and allowed me to be myself. And it had been a choice where I really, in the moment, was like, I am not allowing you access into my thoughts, feelings, emotions, because if these ones are not accepted, then you're not getting my happy emotions. So you're not getting any emotions. So because I wasn't allowed to be sad, or I wasn't allowed to be angry, I wasn't allowed to express it, right? I was like, well, you're not getting my good ones either. So then you become, well, now you're not expressing any emotions in a certain area. So how you do anything is how you do everything. Okay. So that's where I developed this thing of being very uncomfortable with other people's emotions. So when people be crying, I used to be like, they're there, they're there. And I think that's also part of my neurospiciness, because I'm like, I got that you were upset about something, but why all of this, that? Oh my gosh. And that is the story. We will continue that story another day. But what I really appreciated about this teacher is that she saw me, and in seeing me, she allowed me to see myself. That is why I became a teacher. But then it became a thing of, well, I also had this heart for music. I'm a singer. I wanted to play guitar and piano and cello and I learned starting to play all those instruments. So it's in here somewhere. It's a matter of it coming out here and now me being able to play. So while that's still a work in progress, I digress. I saw this opportunity to um go to school for what I actually wanted to do, but I also loved music. And, it became all musicians, struggling musicians, and musicians don't make any money. You have to be like Whitney and Janet and Michael and all of them to be really a moneymaker. Um, so I went to school for what I loved. But it became this thing of like an obligation instead of enjoyment. So then I didn't want to do it because that's just how my neurospiciness worked. I'm a rebel. I'm like, I don't want to do it now. But I said all that to say that I'm living the dream of other people, like, because they want you to be successful. And I know it comes from a good intention. They want you to be successful. They want you not to struggle. So here, don't do the thing that's iffy. Like, it's just like our egos are like, ooh, don't do the iffy thing. Danger, Will Robinson, danger. Let's do the sure thing. And this is a sure thing. So a lot of times we're in careers, we're living lives. We got married and had kids and did all the things because that's what we thought we were supposed to do. And if it didn't happen, then now we're beating ourselves up, or now we're going through divorce and now we're shamed. And shame is a lot of the seed of why we stay in places and spaces and doing things that no longer align with us. So look at the places in your life where you have things where you're like, while I enjoy this, while I have come to love this, my passion was really this. And look at it and see if that's something you'd want to pursue now. Because sometimes you'll go and pursue it and realize, I really don't like this. But if it's really, really, really your passion and you just dimmed it down so low, spark it up. So look at, where are you sacrificing peace for someone else's version of success? And really feel it in your heart. Feel it in your body. Look at things that you once loved doing as a kid that you no longer do. But I mean, like, you love doing this. Like, every time, like a lot of people, like, it was drawing or something like that. And somebody said something and then they stopped drawing. Or they didn't get into that school, so they stopped drawing. So what is it for you? So the straight path framework. So how do we shift, right? This is where the framework comes in. It's simple, but it's not always easy. Or at least it doesn't always feel easy. And the framework has 3 anchors. There's purpose. Who am I here to be? Not just what you do, but who you be. Purpose is about essence, not hustle. And what lights your soul up? What could you do every day and it not feel like work? So I used to ask myself, like, what should I do? I always had this dream that I was going to be this singer. And at the same time, I was always taught, well, you have to have a plan B, backup plan. So, when I was asking, oh, what should I do? What is going to feed my soul? What is going to make me successful? I realized the better question was, who am I here to be? Ooh, who am I here to be? What did this physical expression of God want to be here on this earth? Because I came here for a reason. So when I let go of chasing like titles and labels and degrees and just started living as V, woo, that's when I discovered the life doula. That's when I got the opportunity to become an amazing partner and a bonus mom, getting to be the guide. Everything shifted in my life. I got to be all those things because once I started asking myself quality questions about what's going on in my life, what am I feeling? What am I doing? What am I being? And at times, just leaving it, like not asking, is also an opportunity. But everything shifted when I really just started living in purpose on purpose. Purpose isn't about what job I have, how many degrees I have, what kind of house or car do I drive. It's about the being. Sometimes you have to do to be, but being, we are human beings, and we forget that part. We forget that we came here to be. So the second pillar is peace. How am I honoring my nervous system? I used to like to say that we are children masquerading as adults, unhealed children masquerading as adults, most people, until we're not, until we learn, oh, I get to honor that child within myself. But in the meantime, we're running around as a bunch of dysregulated beings. So it looks like saying yes when I really mean no, allowing myself to be in uncomfortable situations. But what this looks like in the shift of it is peace. It looks like saying no way more often and honoring the sacred no's and yeses of ourselves and others. This looks like resting when my body says rest. I don't care if I just woke up. I need to lay back down, and that's okay. This looks like regulating instead of running. And what I realized is that rest is one of the most underrated states of being. We've been indoctrinated and domesticated into only resting when we're sick or depressed or depleted. So it's time to really allow ourselves to recalibrate, reset, and restore ourselves. Because I've said it before, when we're resting, our body gets the opportunity to really rejuvenate, to recalibrate and reset in a way that it can't do when we're awake. So let's give ourselves that time. It's like, have you ever gone to sleep, been going through a tornado of things, and you're like, everybody take a nap. Everybody lay down. We're going to take a nap. I'm going to go rest. And when you wake up, you have such clarity. You have your answers and your solutions. You're like, okay, I'm going to move like this. I'm going to do this. Hey, look, I'm just going to, right? And that's because you allowed yourself the moment of rejuvenation. So how do we put peace in practice, right? So I belong to a lot of women's groups and circles. And when I give my yes to joining, it's sacred. And I really take it seriously. So the experience I was having is that some spaces did no longer resonate with me. I was super excited when I first joined. Everything seemed aligned. Everything seemed like, okay. And then I would find out things along the way. And I'm like, okay, that's okay. Doesn't matter. I'm here now. But I'm seeing the energy still flowing through the groups. And so after about a month or so, sometimes less, I realized I was a part of these spaces that didn't feel aligned and frankly were draining me. So after a lot of thinking and allowing and pondering and all the things, I gave my no. And I gave my no to something that was draining me. It didn't feel aligned. And I was, resisting saying no and stepping out. Because, I did really love I love the people, appreciate the space. The space gave me so much at one point, even if it was like just a spark of excitement. But now it's just draining. It's just draining me. It doesn't feel aligned. So I'm going to have to, say sayonara. So was it uncomfortable? Yes, it felt very uncomfortable. It felt like strange, uncharted territory. And I felt guilty, like I was letting people down. But I quickly was able to shift into realizing that, oh my gosh, I feel lighter, I feel freer, and more in alignment with myself than I thought that I already was. And really calling my power back, aligning in with my energy. And that's when I understood that peace doesn't come after the to-do list. It comes from the choices we make daily. So in reflection, where in your life could saying no bring you more peace? I know a lot of times we do things out of obligations and shoulds. So let's stop shitting on ourselves and really ask ourselves, where in our lives can we say no? to bring ourselves more peace. And the third, last but not least pillar is prosperity. So what am I building long term? This isn't about chasing a quick bag. It's about sustainable wealth, legacy wealth, prosperity that feels expansive, not exhausting. My mom used to say when I was a kid all these little colloquialisms and things like that. And she used to say, Rome wasn't built in a day. Slow and steady wins the race. And boy, have I actually learned that a lot of those little sayings are so true. Like a bird in the hand is worth more than two in the bush. Like those little sayings. I don't know if anybody knows what they're actually called. Let me know. I call them colloquialisms, but I think that's the way that language is spoken in a certain area. But yeah. But she used to say all these things. And like I said, I've learned that, yeah, there was so much truth in what she was saying. Rome wasn't built in a day. It took however long it took. So they rested, they ate, they made sure they nourished themselves and nurtured themselves so that they could come back and do it the next day. You know, I've learned that the slower that I move, the more deliberate, clear, and precise I can be. So, here's a real talk, people. As always, success without peace is just another prison. And I know because I lived it. There was a time when I was checking off boxes, looking successful to everyone else, but my body was rebelling. I had these autoimmunes and all kinds of things going on. That medically, there's really was no reason why they were existing. But my spirit was searching and depleted, and my joy was non existent. So the straight path at the time, I didn't know it, but really, it has been my way back. My way to rebuild life with alignment and not exhaustion. So, how do we start today? Now, I want you to actually put this into practice. A lot of times we listen to these and we write things down. I know I have all the notebooks and we don't revisit them. We don't go back. But I really want you to go grab your journal, or if you're, driving or Ubering, just pause and reflect and just write down what is your current definition of success. And be honest, like, what do you tell yourself you need to achieve to feel worthy, to feel like I've made it? Like, what is that? So write down your current definition of success. Step 2, ask yourself, does this create more purpose, more peace, and more prosperity in my life? And if it doesn't, it's time to remap your path. And don't worry, you don't have to overhaul your whole life today. You can start small. And maybe that looks like saying no to one commitment that drains you. One commitment you're only doing out of obligation, or only doing because it's your mom, it's your dad, it's your sister, brother, cousin. Maybe it looks like you scheduling 30 minutes just for peace. Whether you go on a walk, take a bath, or just really sit in silence. Silence is golden. That's another one of those little sayings. It really is. It's like, I'll sit and there'll be no noise. The house is empty. And I'm just like relishing the peace, and how it's just expansive space. And even at night, like when everybody's sleeping and I'm just around, I'm like, oh, it's so quiet when you sit outside. There's nothing movement, the stillness. It could be scheduling. Like I started scheduling media downtime into my day where I am just not on anything. I turn off the TV. I turn off the music, which I really love music, even like if I'm meditating or doing something. But I turn everything off and I just listen and be in the silence. And it's just so yummy. It's so yummy. It could look like you revisiting a dream that you shelved because it didn't feel practical, or you had to have a plan B. Every small alignment puts you back on your straight path. So My invitation to you, beautiful soul, is here's what I want you to remember. You don't need to earn your worth. You don't need to grind yourself into the ground. You can walk the straight path where purpose, peace, and prosperity are all present in this right now moment. The beauty of the straight path is that you can tailor it for you and how you work. What works for someone else doesn't necessarily work for you. And shoot, I'm a member of the We Do Not Care Club, so there's a lot of things that I could give two shits about because we do not care. And if this episode spoke to you, share it with your sister friend who's hustling too hard and needs a reminder that rest is sacred and prosperity doesn't require burnout. And don't forget to grab your Roar Blueprint at morewithv.store. It's the first step to living lion-hearted and aligned. And until next time, keep roaring, keep rising, and keep walking your straight path.